Hey everyone, Alex Gray here, and welcome back to the International Classroom Podcast. Now, this December, it is the season of giving, so we're going to switch things up with something exciting. Conversations into the fascinating world of educational platforms. So over the next few weeks, I'm going to be showcasing 12 innovative platforms that are transforming education around the globe. From cutting-edge tools to ideas that are reshaping how we teach, you are going to get exclusive insights straight from the creators and visionaries behind these platforms. And of course, I've got a few extra surprises up my sleeve. So, join me as we explore these technologies and discover how they are shaping education in our international classrooms. On to the episode. Dr. Safwa Abdulaziz, thank you so much for joining me on this mini-series about platform showcases here on the International Classroom Podcast. Whereabouts in the world do we find you today?
Have you ever heard of Dubai?
that wonderful place.
Yeah.
You have one of probably the closest people. How about, I don't know if this sounds kind of egotistical or really bad, but I don't actually get to interview many people in Dubai. So this is good. This for me. And yet I live here. It's quite a nice thing. How would you like to introduce yourself to our listeners today?
My name is Dr. Safwa, and I am an educator, educational leader, educational technologist, and have been for about 23 years. So I think that really describes me, because anything about education is my thing.
Okay. So talk us through your journey then, because obviously, where did you start in education?
I'm a New Yorker, and I never intended to be a teacher. I actually was in my third year of pre-med studies, and I knew that I loved English. And somehow I went on an interview at a boarding school in New York, and I decided, okay, I think I like this. And I became the head of the biology department and an English teacher, and that was 23 years ago.
That's a different. We don't come across many of biology. I'm a biologist as well. I've never come across, and there might be lots of people out there, but that's two very interesting subjects there you've combined.
Polar opposites.
Yeah. So, Clara, most people, I'm assuming, the doctorate you have, is that the medicine part, or have you gone and done something in education?
I was actually explaining to my kids a PhD is a PhD, and it's, that title that you spend the rest of your life saying, not that kind of doctor, So absolutely, it's a PhD in educational technology.
Amazing.
And that part, I would have to say, has everything to do with the 13 years that I spent here in the Emirates. Resources that I've had as an educator, as an educational leader, my role as an professional learning specialist, it drove me to get that educational technology PhD.
Fantastic. So obviously you start your career then in New York, a boarding school, teaching English biology. Take us through how you ended up here in Dubai then.
I have finished 10 years, and even though I started off as a bio and English teacher, my degree was in English. And so I taught in a public school. My children were really small. And at that time, there wasn't much happening in schools. Now schools are, very interesting places. But at that time, I thought it'd be great. And very much like other people who come here, I only came here for 2 years, just to get that international experience and maybe expose the kids to the language and the culture. And I fell in love. I fell in love with not just the culture and the thriving different groups of people. It was this vibe for education here that I had never, ever, ever felt before. This drive and this thirst for, even 13 years ago, for knowing more and doing more,
Yeah, I think it's one of those places it seems to bring that out in people, because even for the things that I've done and want to do, I kind of scratch my head and say, if I was still back in England and I was still teaching, would I be doing, for example, this? And I don't think I would. I think this is what Dubai and the people around and the people you meet kind of brings out in you. So completely understand what you're saying about that. So we want to talk today, really, and it makes sense, as someone who has a PhD in educational technology, that you have chosen to do something educationally technology-wise with that. And we want to talk then about the platform that you have developed. So give us your 30-second elevator pitch about what this platform is.
Okay, so ScreenBack is an AI-powered teaching tool. There is a backstory, but I can't do it in 30 seconds.
We come on to it.
We'll come up to it. It is an AI-powered teaching tool really developed to help language teachers to give video feedback. But I'm using OCR and NLP to really quicken the pace of grading, so that they can get to the business of giving that video feedback, that social affective feedback that is so valuable to students. So pretty much what ScreenBack does.
And so let's now dive into a little bit of that backstory, because anyone who, and especially as an educator who wants to then go be like I'm going to use the term edupreneur, someone who goes from teaching into business or developing something, there's always a reason for it. We always like there's something they've seen that goes, I want to add value here. Like, what is it that inspired you then to go off and create ScreenBack?
Absolutely. So I was an English lead teacher, English teacher, and my Emirati students they were making the same mistakes in writing. They were not improving from year to year. And for some years, I would keep them from grade 10 to grade 12, and they were not improving. And I surveyed them and I said, hey, what's the issue? And they said, Miss, we don't get it. You write these lines and these circles, and we know we need to change some things, but we don't know exactly what to do. So that was when I started trying to toy around with different pieces of tech to give them feedback with a video and to use markup tools. So I started using Apple's Keynote to use markup tools to highlight and circle, but also have my voice and my video in there with it, explaining it and unpacking it. And the results were phenomenal. So I decided to do a classroom action research, and the results were phenomenal. And I was in my PhD program without a dissertation thesis, and I took that in. And so my PhD is actually in EdTech, but my dissertation thesis was on the use of screencast feedback in secondary writing. So that is what brought me to it. And literally it was iterative, where I'm doing a little bit of my app, and I'm also going back to my action research. I'm also going to my actual research, and it was feeding each of those things to just really build it into something that I absolutely believe in and love.
That's a phenomenal journey. And I know, obviously, obviously it's the MVP stage, but could you just walk us through a demonstration or highlight some of the key features just so we could see it?
Sure. I would like to share, I think at some point we'll share a little video, but I'll walk through it in speaking. And pretty much a student can join the platform. A teacher will have the platform, so it's a web-based tool. And a student can actually take a picture of their writing and upload it. And the teacher can then very quickly access that picture, and using optical character recognition, the text is pulled from that image. This is all within seconds. And it is assessed with natural language processing. The teacher has a customizable rubric that can be applied to that writing. And then the teacher is, the part that we're still developing is the teacher is able to open up a video and start marking up using that AI feedback and saying, hey, this is what's, wrong here, and this was wrong here. The great thing about it was when we first started building ScreenBack, we wanted to grade the essays in 30 to 60 seconds. We're now down to milliseconds. As soon as, it's phenomenal. So we've been able to really, it's exceeded our expectations as far as speeding up the process of grading. Can you imagine handwritten work can be graded just as fast as text can be graded? So that's what we're doing there.
Amazing. And there's some, you've explained some of the jargon. We love 3-letter acronyms. As educators, we love these acronyms, but you actually gave the full terms there for what is OCR and NLP. Most educators might go, OCR, oh, that's an exam board. That's an exam board in the UK. But no, in this sense,
Right.
optical character recognition is one thing. And then NLP is not what we would associate with neurolinguistic programming and coaching and trying to get people to do what we want them to do. NLP is what I call it natural language processing.
Yes.
There we go. I was listening. A bit of everything for everyone there. So the name, ScreenBack, what inspired the name then?
When I was doing my research, I found that screencast feedback was catching on. Research is calling for more video feedback in classrooms. There was no secondary research, very little secondary research for secondary schools, but they were trialing it. Different researchers were trialing it in university and having phenomenal results. The issue was the tools that were out there. You sort of had this hodgepodge set of tools that you had to put together in order to pull it off. It was time consuming, very frustrating for teachers. Teachers would have to mark and grade the essay first and then sort of get it into a program and explain it. And so I thought, hey, we need to speed up this process. And as I'm working on my dissertation, we had this boom, this AI boom. And I said, that's it. That is what's going to help me be able to take that time and squish it into a small little dot for teachers. Teachers really need tools that are going to work for them, especially when we're talking about AI tools. We need those tools that are going to work for them. And saving time is, as you know, as at the top of the list.
So I'm going to play devil's advocate for this one because, there are still going to be people, and that's the conversation at the moment with AI about feedback and about marking. And there's people out there that are looking for the initiatives and the solutions that you're providing. And there's also people out there that go, no, feedback and marking should be the humanistic part. That's what teachers should be doing. And the accuracy and therefore the clarity of feedback, the personalization of feedback, it isn't there from AI.
Yeah.
What would be your response to them?
I absolutely agree. And that is why there is a portion of the tool, when you get through all of the process, it literally shows the teacher the feedback that's available. And it doesn't go to the student without being edited and approved by the teacher. I firmly believe in the teacher's voice and the teacher's command of that feedback. We don't want to take away that personalized feedback. We just want to give teachers the time to be able to do it. And when a student hears their teacher's voice and but now we've saved that time, that grading time. But when a student hears that teacher's voice and that feedback that they're getting, it is all teacher approved. It doesn't go to the student without that personal touch.
Fantastic. So how are you envisaging ScreenBack transforming sort of the traditional teaching methods and even this professional communication?
I would say that we are definitely going beyond the pen. That is the name of my next book, by the way. I'm working on it.
I love that. It's a great name.
We're going beyond the red pen, because we're in this age where we're talking about integrating tech. But you can go into any school and teachers still have, it's on my desk somewhere, a red pen, and they're still using it. So we want to go beyond that because we want to catch up. That's right. There you go.
Just there on my desk. You can see them probably I don't know if they're, but yeah, you can get the sense they're both all red pens. Go. Yep.
And,
or just on the desk lying around. What have I got here?
And I think you can relate when I say you have your favorite red pen. Where's my favorite red pen?
If I can't find it, I'm not marking your work. That's just how it is.
So ScreenBack is trying to go beyond that red pen and really revolutionize the way that we approach what we're doing in the classroom, the way we approach the tools that we give teachers. I firmly believe that all teachers should be app developers. Why? Because they are facing the problems in the front line. And so we get a lot of tools that are made by techies that are not in a classroom, and you get them into the classroom and it's a mess. So I wanted to build something that I would use, build something that teachers like me would use and wouldn't find disruptive. We wouldn't find that decreased our, desire to give that personalized feedback. So that's what ScreenBack.ai is about. That's what
Amazing. Amazing. So obviously, I imagine, and just thinking now, the original concept of it struck from obviously English teaching,
Yes.
but I'm a scientist, it's the same, and obviously I might want a biology answer that goes up there, maybe modern foreign language, so it might be French, Spanish here, it could be Arabic. So you're nodding away, so I'm hoping you'll be like, yes, it works for this as well. There we go.
Absolutely. So I decided to trial it in my action research in a couple of our schools. I was working for a school district that had 7 schools in each of the Emirates. And so we decided to trial it across different subjects and across different schools and across different students. And phenomenal results. And one of the things was there was a physics teacher trialing it. Amazing results. We had a Spanish teacher. And so we used it with languages, we used it with different complicated subjects. So it is a tool that you can give video feedback on pretty much quite a few areas that it can address.
I'm just going to real focus in on that because you've said it a few times. I want to really be clear on it. So when you say video feedback, what would that look like for the teacher? And then what does it look like for the student?
Oh, actually, it will look like what we're doing now. There's a little small video of me, and you would be my student. If you're the small screen, you would be, or the bigger screen would be my student's work. And I would have a host of markup tools that I can use to circle, underline, and really navigate the actual answer that the student gave, but they would also see me at the same time, hear my voice at the same time, and then receive this feedback on a platform that's not going to take up space or, is direct from student to teacher. So that is what we're talking about. And I think you asked about the name too. It comes from screencasting or screencast feedback. So
Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense now. The combination of the two things, using your screens to get feedback, ScreenBack. I get it. I completely get it. Okay, fantastic. Now, obviously, I know we've mentioned it being in an early startup, but you've already received recognition for this. It's already been, touted as a big thing from some educational institutions as well. Like, how have you found that in terms of, even though it's not necessarily the golden stage and out there, but just to have that recognition already?
I'm not surprised. And I think this comes from the fact that I used it myself. Using something yourself and knowing how it works or knowing what it takes to get something done. I was not surprised to see ScreenBack was selected as a tech startup in Qatar in February. And from there, we were selected by Harriet Watt for an incubation program. They are so excited to help us gain traction. Qatar Web Summit also invited us back, on their dime this February again. And so it is gaining traction even in the MVP stage. And teachers are saying, hey, when is that going to be available? And actually, Alex, I was going to let you know I do have a QR code that we could probably show if people did want to trial ScreenBack. We'd love to hear from them, and when it's ready for trial, we'd love to give them a chance to see if they like it.
That would be amazing. We can definitely share that. That would be amazing. Yeah, I quite like to have a look at it as well. So you mentioned there about launch. Like, what are your plans? When do you hope to have this officially launched?
Because we had such a fantastic reception in Qatar this past February, we are really looking to finalize and have it available, at least a portion of our phase 1, which is the AI grading portion, to be available to teachers in February, sometime in February.
Fantastic. So 2025 is going to be a big year.
It's going to be a big year.
Well, again, we'll transition away. That's going to be amazing. We look forward to that. But we now I just want to pick on sort of your knowledge and expertise when it comes to the role of AI in education. Like, as an educator and as a doctorate in educational technology, and then as a developer yourself, how do you see AI shaping the future of education? And then from there as well, what role do you think ScreenBack is going to play in that transformation?
Well, I think I don't really have to ask, how do I see it? It's already making an impact. AI is already getting all of us up in the morning. We're all getting up in the morning differently. We're looking at things differently already. And I think that if we continue to look at things differently, if we continue to think about safeguarding and to think about, ways that we can make this work, I think we'll do great. Sometimes fear and being afraid is a great motivator. So I think, we are seeing some things that are very alarming. But I think as long as we stay awake and we are constantly staying open, I think that it would have an awesome impact on education. I know some people are thinking, hey, students won't be able to do anything. They'll just submit, AI written work, or, thinking as far as an English classroom. And you might notice when I show you the screencast feedback sample from ScreenBack that I used a handwritten sample, because there are ways for us to hybrid things. We always come off as it's got to be one or the other. But as long as we keep these conversations going, I think that we can find where we can be in the middle and take the best of both things.
Yeah, definitely. And I think even with my circles and speaking with people and people from parents and so on, it's then about down to the teacher. It's like, well, hey, if your students are using AI to complete the task, then there's a few things like, well, the task you've set is obviously not worth their time. The task you've set has allowed them to do that. So don't be surprised if students value their time enough to go, hey, I want to be efficient and effective. Why should I think about this when AI can just do it for me? So, it's about us as educators, I think, developing how we plan and the curriculums and the tasks and assessments that we want students to do. And at some point in time, digital skills, AI skills is going to come into that. Not just, use it to do something. It's more a case of how skillfully can you use it multimodally, or in a coding comparison, or there's so many different ways. And I think it rests on us as educators to be a little bit smarter with what we're setting and add value to the why. So why, that's always going to be the question. Well, why have you set that? If kids can do it, like using it, why have you set it? So that happy medium, like you mentioned, I think is a very, very important thing. Now, for those aspiring edupreneurs, I keep using those edtech entrepreneurs out there, like, what advice would you be giving to those educators and professionals who maybe are looking to develop their own edtech solutions?
Do it. 2 words.
Just do it.
Just do it. And the reason why I say that is because we are in an age where things are accessible to people in general and to educators specifically. And you no longer have to have, Liam Neeson, you no longer have to have that special set of skills. You can outsource.
I love that.
So many skills, and you can get it done. I didn't do my own coding, but I have an awesome team that does. But I have the idea. My team, they are the developers, but they're also not in a classroom. So it really takes edupreneurs. It really takes those people who are going to be brave and see a problem and want to bring about that solution to go ahead and find a way to get it done. Yeah, I think you will be surprised if I told you that ScreenBack is only a year old, and we've only been developing for a year. We've just within like 6 months we were in Qatar. So it doesn't take a long time, especially if you have the passion. And I have worked full time and completed my PhD at the same time. So for those people who are thinking, she probably has a lot of time. Actually, no.
You said you have kids as well, didn't you?
I have 4 children and a husband.
Also needs keeping in shape.
On top of my hero.
Oh my gosh.
So I think that we're living in an age where you don't have to have that special set of skills. There are ways to maximize your potential, and you just have to get going on it and decide,
I think that's great advice. Apart from obviously the AI side of things, which will have undoubtedly been a help to you, have there been any other sort of resources or any potential networks that you found quite instrumental on this journey?
Yes, I would definitely say that as an app professional learning specialist, I was actually in a training when I thought of ScreenBack. And I was explaining screencast feedback because I had already started doing action research with it. And so I was sharing it with other teachers in Dubai. And I was in the middle of saying, someone needs to invent. And then I said, I'm going to do it right in front of everyone. I think that network and having the ability to go into other classrooms as a specialist, being able to see that the problems that I was having were not just my problems, I think that was really powerful for me. And that really pushed me to understand that other teachers would need this, other teachers could use this, and other teachers would appreciate this. So that network was definitely powerful in that sense because, as educators, sometimes we can be in our little bubble. And so I was able to go into other schools and say, oh, yeah, they're having that same problem. So.
No, I think as you said previously, being an educator, being at the coalface in the classroom, firsthand what the problems are and ideally what the solutions are, rather than, as a friend of mine used to say, and probably still does, these consultants, these companies just kind of parachute in and actually don't have really too much of an idea of what it's like. They think they do. And I've sat through some speeches like this from people trying to sell things. It's like, you've got no idea. So it's good that from listening, and hopefully the listeners out there as well pick this up, is like, yeah, you've got that experience. You know what you're talking about when it comes to this.
Right. I can share a little situation where my developers made the most complicated, program from my idea. And I said, no, teachers do not have that time. And they do not have the ability to, that cognitive overload with so many things are flying around. I said, this app needs to be simple. And we drilled it. Simplicity is key. Simplicity, make the back screen gray. There are things that we know as teachers that we appreciate. And that is what you bring to the table when you're an educator going to develop an app.
Most definitely. Just to wrap this up then, and this is going to be an interesting one for you. I always kind of try and ask these questions towards the end of it. And it's more to do with about the future. So if you could add, and this is going to be a weird one because obviously you're still kind of getting there. We're almost there. But let's see if you got any of these longer thoughts.
Okay.
So if you could add any futuristic feature to ScreenBack without any limitations, what would it be and why?
Oh, absolutely. I know exactly what that is. I'm trying to figure out how to do it, but I would love for students to have their own accounts with ScreenBack, and they would, potentially handwrite something in class and then bring it back to the platform and get that feedback for themselves, and then create a video letting their teacher know what they learned. And these were the areas where so we're talking about flipping that work on the teacher to give that feedback, but letting that student use the AI tool to actually give them feedback, and then for them to create a video talking about that. I'm big on video, but I would love to see us to flip the narrative and allow students and give them the power to really look at, especially when we're talking about language, Alex, that this is important. We still need language, and we still need students to be able to construct language, right? So it'd be great if we had a tool where they could get that feedback and be able to, continue that journey and have a portfolio of their work and their growth.
Most definitely. And what I like about it, just from listening to you, is that what you're approaching it is, it's like has its basis in cognitive science a little bit, because it sounds like you understand the importance of some things like dual coding, not just in terms of writing things, but then how we see things, how we say things, the auditory language that helps with it. And so having that there and doing those things actually, I think would be really, really powerful. So kudos is all I can say. It sounds like it's a fantastic piece of software and a platform out there, and very much look forward to it and seeing it and trialing it and in February. So just for coming on and sharing this with us, really, really appreciate it. It's been a really insightful conversation, really fun, and thank you ever so much.
You're welcome. It's been my pleasure.
So as we end it then, and I realize I got it, if someone wants to find out more, if someone wants to contact you and, is interested in this, where's the best place to reach you?
The best way to reach me is on LinkedIn. You can find me as Dr. Safwa Abdulaziz on LinkedIn. But also, Alex, I think I would love to share with you a QR code to get people to sign up and go ahead and try ScreenBack and let us know what you think. We really want real feedback from real teachers and real educators. So I'll share that with you at some point, but that would be the best way to get started and take a look at it.
Amazing. Well, we wish you all the best in the future. And again, we look forward to 2025.
Thank you so much, Alex. You have a great night.